today is a very normal work from home Friday, and I thought I could kind of share a little bit about what happens in that day, and also where I get pockets of time I can chat to you and explain how I got into my job role currently. So for anyone who doesn't know, I'm a product owner for websites. The role that I am in now is very different to what I was in a year ago. So I used to work in content marketing. Now that I'm a good 6 months in, I feel like I can actually, on reflection, hopefully give you some really strong advice on how you can get into a role similar to this if you're wanting to, from a role that's just totally different. So I'm about to start the work day. I've dropped my daughter off at nursery. I've had the washing on since I woke up this morning, so that's just finished, and I'll pop that out on the line before I go into my first call of the day. Okay, so while I start cooking this, my first tip for getting into a tech-based role with no tech experience, basically. So my first tip, right, came from a mentor that I had while I was in my old job, and basically she told me that instead of focusing on what you do, the function that you work in, the skill set that your job requires, the day-to-day of your role, literally what you do as a job, instead of focusing on that, focus on how you work, and really hone in on being able to articulate how you work, and also get a really good understanding of what type of jobs you want to do based on how you will get to work. This completely changed the game for me, right? Because I was thinking, oh, I know marketing, I have a skill set in that. Once I had switched it up to how I think and how I approach things rather than what I do, that then led me to be able to articulate myself in relation to a ton of other jobs, not just a product owner role, or not just, closer towards tech. That opened up every door for me. And I think this is something, right, that a lot of people do in a lot higher roles, that we kind of don't know about too much when you're earlier in your career. And essentially it's actually quite interesting. If you were to look at a lot of different people who were kind of maybe on a board of directors or an MD or CEO or whatever, anything like that, if you look at their work history, if they have that open on their LinkedIn, and you were to see, a lot of them actually come from different functions in different areas within the business, and then they've moved across and up. And that is because they've made their movements based on how they think and how they approach things. And it's learning how to articulate that best serves you for your next move. I hate the bit where you start mashing in the eggs. The next tip I have is to basically utilize as much as you can within the company that you're already in, and get as much value out of that as you possibly can. So what I started to do was basically, once I had my job role nailed in content marketing, I knew what I was doing and I was really successful at it, I almost picked my head up and looked around me. So I looked beyond my team of 50, then beyond that team of 100, and what other functions were there in the business that I did not know about, that I found quite interesting. Who did I find interesting in the company, regardless of how high up they were, who could I email, who could I get in touch with, and all of that type of stuff. And I began to almost not shop around, but understand more than what I currently understood, using what was available to me in the business. It's honestly because I could Google and I could search about how, I don't know, product marketing worked or how this worked and stuff like that, but there is no greater resource than the company that you're already at, and just actually speaking to people and saying, I'm actually just, I'm really interested in what you do, I'm really interested in how this works. I would shadow people in different functions. I even had a look at sales and stuff, and shadowed someone for a morning to understand how they set things up and how they're working. I literally took the opportunity to go around so many different areas, and it was probably one of the best things that I've ever done in my career. Let's add these bananas. Okay, the next thing that I would say, right, is to honestly switch your mindset into thinking of the experience that you have outside of the function that you're moving into and outside of the role that you're moving into as a plus, because genuinely it might be a plus for whatever company you end up being the right fit for. There is such a strong chance, right, that you're actually the right fit for the role in the company that you end up getting a job at, because of you having skills in other areas. Different companies are in so many different stages of transformation, of change, of process improvement, and all of that type of stuff. There is always more going on that hinges upon other functions and areas within the business. They know that you will see things from a slightly alternative perspective, and that will be really valued. Like, so I know that people will shout up quite a lot about like transferable skills and stuff, but again, just to flip it back to my first point on like how you work, not what you do, the thing there will be a shout out about the perspective that you have based on the experience that you have and why that perspective's of value. Do you know what I mean? So you will know optimum ways of working and processes and pitfalls and risks and pros and cons and all of this type of stuff to a whole other function outside of, you know, tech and all of that type of stuff. That honestly, for some company at some stage of growth, at some point in time, with some gap in the area that you're wanting to go into, that will serve them so well, and that will be just the thing that they need, is someone with your perspective because of your experience elsewhere. And that is 100% something that you should call out as a strength, not try and like deflect away from as though it's a negative. Like, I would honestly go in, if I could do it again, I actually think that I applied for these jobs actually trying to like hide the fact that I was like coming from a different function, and it's like, oh, but it's okay because I've made it up with like so much research and so much training, and I've done the course, I've done all of this stuff, and like, so that's bridged this gap. When in reality, I actually think that gap was like the value that I brought, because I would see things from an alternative perspective, and because I would be able to connect with this different area of the business and understand these stakeholders more. Like, that was actually my strength. So I would honestly go back and like call it out as a strength of mine. Banana bread is ready to go in the oven. I'll pop this in, and then I totally forgot to actually have some sort of lunch right now, so I'll also make a quick sandwich, I think, and just quickly clean up. Okay, so I've had some lunch and now I'm just back working. I normally work in my office upstairs, but I'm just enjoying a bit of change of scenery today, and so I'm working down here. It smells unreal with that banana bread in the oven. Oh my god, it's gorgeous. I was just thinking of anything else I would recommend for trying to like get into this type of job role from another one that you've been in. And what I should have probably said before any other piece of advice would be to talk to your manager. I've heard a lot of like people, particularly like on TikTok and stuff, really like kind of sound very unsupported by their managers and things, which genuinely worries me quite a bit. The top priorities of your manager's role, if not the top priority, should be you, and you know, how you're doing, what you're doing, where you want to go. There to support you in your current role, and you know, hopefully help you develop so that you can go to where you want to be after. Also see if there's any opportunity within your role at present to kind of like make some sort of lateral moves just within your workload at the moment. So like, is there another project within another team where your skills might be of use, and you could outline your time and see if you can make it like a time commitment to them, see if they would want support from you and stuff. Like, there is so much opportunity that you can do with support from your manager, like from the off. They should really help carry you through your progression, and that's like kind of what they're there for, really. So I know that would be what I would do, and what I've been really lucky to have in the past. So that would be like another tip as like a first port of call. 100%, I think it's so useful and really valuable for sure. And with that being said, I'm just going to carry on for the rest of the day, and then I will pick Ivy up and prepare her tea, prepare her banana bread, and just have a chilled Friday evening. If you would like to follow along, that would mean the absolute world, and I will see you in the next video.